Is it wrong to be selfish in love? From the moment we're born, we're taught that selflessness is a virtue and that the worst possible thing you can be is selfish. And the place where you can be this most selfless version of yourself is in romantic love, where you're supposed to give up your desires and give up your needs in order to serve this romantic partner. Love becomes elevated to this idea of two people giving up what they need in order to serve someone else. And especially in today's culture, if you start talking about selfishness in love, then you're going to be called a toxic avoidant narcissist who deserves to be forever alone. But how are any of these ideas that we've been taught about love actually serving us? We've got a society with a 50% divorce rate, and fewer people are even getting into relationships in the first place, meaning there are more and more people who are single, lonely, and feeling isolated. Surely something's gone wrong here. In this video, I'm going to argue that being selfish is a vital component of any relationship, and that the reason that sounds so triggering is the same reason why many of us struggle to find and to keep love. We have misunderstood what selfishness and selflessness actually mean. And the main source that I'm going to be drawing from is Honoring the Self by Nathaniel Branden. This is what inspired me to make this video, and it's a brilliant book. You should check it out. So let's start with the question that probably made you click on this video. Isn't selfishness incompatible with love? Or put another way, doesn't being selfish in a relationship make you a bad partner and a bad person? Well, listen carefully to what you're actually asking here. You're not asking, does this mean I have permission to violate the rights of my partner? Or is it okay for me to not care about my partner's needs? Or are kindness and generosity not virtues in a relationship? What you're actually asking is, do I have the right to look after my needs, pursue my wants, and take care of my happiness and my own self-interest, even if I'm in a relationship? And it really boils down to, do I still have the right to exist for myself if I'm in a relationship? Do you have the right to exist for yourself? I mean, surely just hearing that, you can feel what the right answer to that question is. It is not selfishness, but rather selflessness, an absence of a self, that negates love. Two people with a weak sense of self can't come together to make a successful relationship. A successful relationship is two whole people coming together to create something bigger than just themselves as individuals. Therefore, a strong sense of self, a strong sense of who you are, what you stand for, what your needs, wants, and desires are, is vital for any successful relationship if you're trying to build one. Nathaniel Branden explains this best in a paragraph I'm going to quote. To suggest that love is selfless is to maintain that it is not in my self-interest to find a person whom I can admire, delight in, find pleasure with. What I love is the embodiment of my values in another person. In love, the self is celebrated, not denied, abandoned, or sacrificed. Loving selfishly means celebrating what we find most important as it manifests in our partner. Our partner mirrors back to us what we find most important in ourselves. When we view love this way, we can become empowered to choose a partner who stands for what we stand for, and whom we can respect for their unique expression of what we find to be most important in the world. Practically speaking, loving selfishly doesn't mean being indifferent to the needs and wants of your partner. It means expanding your idea of self-interest to include the needs and wants of your partner. That's why love is so special. As Nathaniel Branden says, to love is to declare that someone else's happiness and well-being is of selfish importance to ourselves. I will take a moment to critique Brandon here, as this idea of self-interest arguably is kind of selfless, because as you expand your idea of self-interest, and expand your idea of yourself, that is in a sense going beyond your current view of self, which could be argued to be selfless. However, where Brandon is absolutely right, and where most people are wrong, is that this expansion of self doesn't get rid of the original self. Note that he didn't say, to love is to declare someone else's happiness and well-being as superior to your own, and that you should give up your own happiness and well-being to please them. If you try and imagine it visually for a moment, imagine that you're in a bubble, and that bubble is you. And that love doesn't mean jumping out of your bubble and getting into someone else's bubble. It means keeping your bubble and expanding it so that it can include the other person's bubble. So you retain all of yours, they retain all of theirs, but you become something bigger that is one. At this point, you might have some questions, so I'll tackle 3 common misunderstandings. The first misunderstanding is, are you saying that I can be selfish and just look after myself only in my relationship? No. If you're looking for permission to violate other people's needs and only look out for yourself, then you haven't really been listening to what I've been saying. Being selfish is about asserting your right to exist. And being selfish in a relationship is about expanding your idea of yourself to include the other person. So in a relationship, you'd now be asserting both of your rights to exist, both of your rights to have your needs and your wants met and fulfilled. Because that becomes in your own expanded sense of self-interest. The second misunderstanding is, if selfishness is all about pursuing your wants and needs, then why do people ruin relationships that they're happy in by trying to pursue their own wants and needs? Isn't that selfish? Let's use an example here. Let's say there's a married man who genuinely loves his wife, but he continuously goes out drinking and partying and leaving her at home alone. The wife understandably feels neglected by this and chooses to leave him. And as a result, the man feels devastated and miserable. Wouldn't we say that the man is being selfish? Well, here it's truer to say that he had a fool's notion of self-interest. The man wasn't being selfish, he was being thoughtless, careless, and irresponsible with his self-interest. He loved his wife. It was in his best interest to nurture that relationship and to take care of her needs and wants as well as his own. To be selfish would have been to realize that he really doesn't want for her to leave him, and so he needs to incorporate what she wants and needs into how he's living his life so that the relationship can be for both of them. But instead, he went off acting as if it was in his best self-interest to go drinking and partying, when really that was quite irresponsible. Of course, in this example, he does love his wife. If he doesn't, then that is a whole different kettle of fish, and it becomes a question of how he should disentangle himself from the relationship while causing minimal pain to himself and to his now ex-wife, as that too would be in his best self-interest, but that is a whole other video topic. The third misunderstanding is that relationships must be self-sacrificing. You might say, okay, I get that I need to look after my needs, and I can't neglect the other person's needs. I also need to look after my partner's needs. But doesn't being in love require that I self-sacrifice some of my own needs and wants in order to give to the relationship? So let's get really clear here. Nobody is denying that relationships require compromise. The cornerstone of any successful relationship is being able to compromise. Sometimes I'll do things just to please you because that's what you need. Sometimes I'll put my own needs on hold to solve an immediate concern for your needs. But calling those acts sacrifices poisons the very meaning that they're trying to give to the love. Do you really want to believe that your partner is self-sacrificing to be in a relationship with you? That your partner should feel like they need to deny themselves and give up themselves to be in a relationship? Do you want to be told that your happiness is not in your partner's selfish interest? Let's use some examples to understand this. Would you rather your partner, your lover, to caress you totally unselfishly with no excitement or personal gratification? Or would you rather that when they touch you, they feel joy and excitement and gratitude? Do you want your partner to feel like it's a sacrifice when they get to spend an evening with you? Or do you want them to feel like it's the best thing ever? Of course, we want our partners to feel joy, excitement, pleasure, happiness, and wonder in our presence. So let's stop pretending that totally selfless love is some ideal that we can actually strive for. On an even deeper level, if we start neglecting our own needs and wants just to try and please our partner, then we're going to start resenting them. And if we've done that, then we've betrayed the relationship in two ways. We've betrayed ourselves because we've given up our own values, and we've betrayed our partner because we've allowed them to become someone that we resent. And this is why I said that labeling the actions that we take to look after our partner's needs as sacrifices poisons the relationship. Now, you might just say that I'm being pedantic with words here and that it doesn't matter too much whether we call them self-sacrifices or acts of service, but words create our thoughts, and our thoughts literally create our reality. So we want to make sure that we're framing things and thinking about things in a way that's going to create an optimal reality for the well-being and happiness of us and our relationship. Healthy relationships require that we have the maturity to have an expanded sense of self-interest to include the person that we love. Healthy relationships require that we recognize that nurturing and sharing with our partner is vital to love, and that this does not come at a cost to ourselves. To paraphrase Nathaniel Branden, we could all do with a reminder that to love means not to set aside your self-interests, but to expand your understanding of where your self-interests lie. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit like and subscribe if you'd like some more content like this. I wish you all the best with your relationships, and I'll see you again soon.